Hello and welcome to the Perth Blue Baggers pod. We will be reviewing our round 14 win against West Coast and previewing our round 15 clash with North Melbourne. So let's get straight into this. So as always, I'm joined by
Marty on special comments.
Yes, so what's your overall take on the game?
Well,
It was good to be there.
Well, it was good to be there.
Yes.
It was good. We enjoy watching the Blues play. We don't get that luxury all that often, and so it's nice to be at Optus for the action. Plenty of Blue Baggers there. Healthy contingent, I reckon.
Very loud, still in the first quarter.
Especially loud in the first quarter. All the Eagles fans slunk away after full time, and so we got a good crack at it. So it was good fun, and it's always good to get the 4 points when you're over here in the West.
Good to get a win against some of our mates, no doubt West Coast fans.
Yeah, so the game, look, it was a story of fantastic first quarter when things really clicked, when our ball movement was really strong, our intensity around the ball was fantastic, we played with energy and passion, we just really smashed the opposition.
Yeah.
And at one stage I thought, this is going to be a 10 or 15 goal win easily. But unfortunately, from about halfway through the second quarter onwards, we really barely gave a yelp. And we had the second half in particular was atrocious. Yeah. Just 2 goals for the whole of the second half against the team that's probably going to win the wooden spoon.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't help but think if we play like that again next week, even against North Melbourne, we won't win. Clearly, we're not doing enough in that respect. The ball movement slowed right down. The same errors where a lot of players were just throwing the ball in the boot and turning the ball over, that just became more and more common. Lack of composure. If West Coast was a better team, they would have made us pay. They let us off the hook a number of times.
Because they couldn't capitalise on the turnovers.
They didn't capitalise.
Just as bad. And then a slingshot back to us.
Yeah, I mean, Essendon and West Coast in the last 2 weeks have not really made us pay for the number of turnovers we've offered them.
Yeah.
So look, it was an underwhelming performance on the whole when you put the whole thing together. And I think a lot of us would we were relieved to get the 4 points and good to get a win, but fairly dissatisfied with the effort overall. And we're just wondering why we can't play more than a quarter and a bit of football.
It's so confusing, and it has to be a psychological problem. Because, we can see them being able to do it. It's not a tactics structural problem. I don't know, they just slack off.
There was a hint by Kerno when he got interviewed that we just weren't getting the ball in very fast. And that makes it quite difficult. We've got some good forwards, but we need to get the ball in quicker.
Yeah.
And we need to make good choices as well. That's twice now we've had outstanding first quarters in the last 2 weeks, and then twice where we've sort of really petered off. And particularly in the third quarter was probably the lowest ebb. But really the whole of the second half was pretty underwhelming.
Yep. And so we felt it. The groans around the stadium, both West Coast and Carlton fans, that was probably the most surprising part. Just didn't expect so much disappointment.
Well, it was a poor standard of football.
Yeah.
It looked like 2 bottom 4 teams playing against one another.
Yeah.
Constant turnovers, just sort of throwing the ball in the boot, missed targets, and the number of missed targets in particular in that second half was extraordinary. Yeah, it was. It wasn't good football.
I mean, sure, it was wet, and it's winter, so, but you have to be more efficient. You just have to be.
Yeah, well, we were efficient. We
Yeah.
were picking the ball up well in the first quarter, so we know we can do it. We're just not doing it for anything like 4 quarters, and it definitely gave us the sense that we're playing like that next week and the week after, we're going to be losing.
The delusion in me thinks that we can do it. One game will happen where we can do it for the 4 quarters, and then it will be amazing to watch. But I don't know. Every time I think delusional, my delusion quickly fades away.
Well, in some ways, right, some people complain that we've been unpredictable. I would say we've been utterly predictable. If you actually have a look at it, right, there's two outliers. We lost to Richmond when we shouldn't have, and we beat Geelong when we probably had no right to, and that was the best performance of the year. If you look at every other win, they've all come from teams below us. West Coast twice, North Melbourne, St Kilda and Essendon. And then pretty much every time we've played someone above us, Western Bulldogs, Hawthorn, Collingwood, we've lost.
It's not a good sign.
So,
how do you expect to make the 8 if you can't beat the other 8 sides?
We're 10th and we can't beat anyone above us really, except for Geelong. And yet we're beating the ones below us, the really poor ones. They were lost to Sydney. I think that shows where we're at.
Yep.
We're probably somewhere we're certainly not in the top 8. We're somewhere between about 10 and 14.
I hope it's 10th. I'd rather 10th and 14th.
But I mean, both of them are kind of no man's land, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
You're really trying to make finals. And look, on statistically, right? We're only 2 games out from the finals, and we're in. We should be 7-7 if we play well this coming week.
Yeah.
So statistically, you'd say we win with every chance, but I just can't see us on form doing it.
Yeah, some of these psychological issues seem too irreversible. It's going to have to take off pre-season again, maybe, to fix all that.
And we're just starting to get, again, we had another bad week for injuries and another bad day for injuries. So
it's filmed on Tuesday night.
So Harry Mackay is out for 4 to 6 weeks with his knee. I had an arthropsky. I've had one of those. I know what it's like. So we won't see him until the last couple of rounds of the season.
And by then he was underdone, so...
Yeah, he won't have played much football.
Yeah.
And then you've got Harry, who got subbed out with a calf complaint, and so he's a test. Sorry, Charlie. Yeah. We just discussed Harry. We've got Sam Walsh, who's out for a long period of time. He's a fair way before he comes back. And we just heard today that Mandy Cottrell's out for the season.
That's a real bummer.
So, look, really, the injuries are stacking up. We've got another 3 players already out for the season.
We've lost our 2 best runners, Cottrell and Walsh at the moment then.
Yeah, that's right.
Binns was okay. He did run 15.8 kilometres, which is the highest on the ground. Just a little inefficient.
Yeah, I think, I like his effort.
I
like his effort, and the 26 touches, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That'd be one of his better performances.
That's probably his highest ever.
I just don't know if he hurts the opposition. And I think it's a disposal issue, really. And but look, he's, I think that's still a step forward for him, even given the disposal issue. But look, even with him playing a bit better, there's still a massive gap with Sam Walsh out.
He's too good for VFL. Maybe not quite there yet with the speed of AFL.
Well, I hope he's not a bit like Paddy Dow, who tore up the VFL and then you put him in the AFL. It didn't quite show enough. But look, he's still young, so we're hoping that he comes through. And he's been in the system for a little while now.
Yep, got to back him in. So, speaking of players, let's get into our 5-4-3-2-1 votes.
Yeah, so for mine, and it might surprise a few people, but I thought Mitch McGovern was our best player.
Nice.
3 goals, 3 goal assistants, 9 score involvements. He just made a big difference. He was lively the whole time. And he seemed, like I thought, across the 4 quarters, even though he did more in the first half, he kept on going with it. And thank God he was up and about, because with Harry out and Charlie getting sobbed out pretty early, there wasn't much else going on in terms of tools, in terms of targets.
I think he kicked one of our goals in the second half.
He did. Yeah. He did one of those 2 goals in the second half. So he kept at it. And look, the highlight for me was when he dropped a mark he should have, but he went on and laid a superb tackle that led to a goal by Fogg. So, that's what you want to see. You want to see the tackles come through. So, for mine, I thought he was fantastic and a fabulous player for us. You may not agree, but I liked Adam Cherry's game. I had him at 4. I thought he was really lively. I thought that he was in the action the whole way through, and he was one of our highest ball getters on the thing with the 30 touches.
And I think I saw 11 disposals came in the last quarter.
Yeah,
And it's happened a few weeks now. He's been able to really lift in the last quarter.
he has, and I rate that because the hardest time to get the footy is when your teammates are not doing much, and he did fight out the game.
Yeah.
So hats off to him there. So he's my 4. Georgie Hewitt had another solid game, highest possession winner on the ground with 35, 7 clearances, 4 tackles. Chera had 5, so these guys are playing defence as well. He just seemed to be popping up in the middle of it quite consistently. So, he was good. I noticed both those 2 players ended up in the coaches' votes for this round. Look, I loved Chin Cotter's game.
Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic. He had 4 goal assists, the most on the ground. He kicked a superb goal himself. He laid 5 tackles. He was just in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And do you know what he brought? He brought that intensity, that hard work and intensity. I loved his running. He was fantastic. Speaking of running, another fella, I gave 1 vote to Ollie Hollands. I thought Ollie Hollands ran and ran and ran, just kept at it all day.
Yeah.
Laid some beautiful tackles. Was in the middle of it quite a lot. So he rounds out my best 5.
Yep.
It's a bit of a special mention. A few other blokes who played pretty well. TDK I thought was pretty good. Certainly had the better of the ruck position rucks. He had quite a few intercept possessions. He was a couple of good contested marks, etc. It wasn't probably quite as dominant as last week, but still pretty dominant. Again, I liked Haynes's game.
Yeah.
Worked very hard in defence, laid a superb tackle that saved a certain goal. And that's what he just keeps on doing, game in, game out. And for my underrated, look, he did fade away in the second half, like a lot of players perhaps, but his first half was very good, exceptionally good, and that's the fog.
Yeah.
Kicked 3 goals, 9 contested possessions, which is not bad for a forward, I've got to say.
Yeah.
I think he laid a number of big tackles. I think there was one massive tackle he laid of Harley Reid. It was great to watch.
Best tackler in the team for sure. So mine does vary a bit, and I gave Wiedering and Haynes are involved in it. So because I think the defence was crucial to sort of keeping the lead when times were tough in the second half. So I've given 5 for Hewitt, 4 for Wheaters. So Wheaters had 23 disposals, 14 marks, 10 intercepts, 7 rebound 50s, 10 1%ers, and 4 score involvements. Haynes is given 1 vote. So I reckon those 2 paired together were instrumental in sort of leading the transition from the back line. So that they were good in that way, as well as being able to defend well, intercept possessions and all that. So 3, I've given Fogg. I still think he kept at it for the second half mostly. And Hollands for 2.
You've gone for quite a few different mix there, haven't you?
So there's been a few... and underrated would have given McGovern. A few been snubbed, like Chera. I don't know why. Look, it's good that we've got so many options, really. Isn't that great?
Yeah, no, true.
Yeah. Who else we got? Adam Sard, 25 disposal at 84%. 6 marks, 7 intercepts, 5 score involvements, 4 rebound 50s. Didn't think he was too bad.
I reckon Sard and a couple of other players, though, did throw the ball in the boot a few times.
Yeah, well, that's because he's not been utilised properly.
I would like to see him play further up the ground, run with the ball and hit up targets, and that's when he's playing his best. It's not deep in defence, throwing the ball in the boot.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the best use of Sard. So we really should pull the pin and move him to a better position that utilises his strengths.
I think Cowan is a test this week, so maybe he could come back in. and help.
Well, it'll be handy
role,
actually
yeah.
because we don't. Boyd's not playing either, so I think we're.
Or Boyd.
Yeah, we're a little bit down there in the small backs, I think.
Boyd, I don't know why Boyd is doing well in the...
Yeah, I would bring Boyd or
Voss got
Cowan
something
in.
against him or something?
I'd bring Boyd. You never know with coaches'
Gosh.
favourites. I'd bring one of them in and I'd push Sada further up the field to give us that run and carry because we desperately need the dash, don't we?
Yeah.
We don't have Cottrell. We don't have Walsh. Who's running with the footy?
Yeah. Well, he was, once again...
He did do some of that.
He was doing that in the first half.
Yeah. So.
I reckon maybe there's a bit of an interconnected relationship between Sard in the first half and second half, and how maybe we might not be able to have efficient ball movement.
Yeah.
I don't know. So let's get into the preview. I think we've covered that pretty well, comprehensively.
Yeah. So look, the preview
Of North.
of North Melbourne. North Melbourne is a team that we flogged earlier this year.
It's been their one bad game, apparently.
But
They've all been competitive.
this was my point. I don't think they're playing too bad a footy.
Yeah.
And they almost beat Fremantle here in the West, so at home. And Fremantle itself is in pretty good form, you know. Was it 3 or 4 in a row or something they've won? Maybe 5 or something.
Yeah.
So they're not in bad, and they only lost by a kick, you know. So I do think that they're not in bad footy.
Do not underrate them.
I think that we would at our peril if we play like we did last week. I think we'll lose.
Yeah.
We really do. We played a really 2.5 really bad quarters. So we're going to have to lift our game. We might need to lift it certainly in the absence of Harry Mackay and possibly Charlie Curnow. I mean, I know that they were just saying calf tightness and everything else. I don't think they would have pulled him off unless they were worried. And he's been listed only as a test.
Could have been a bit of just safe.
You know, he's had soft tissues issues.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's had his fair share of injuries. I reckon it could be time to bring Harry Lemmy in.
Yeah.
You know what we really missed? And Mitch McGovern, like I said, stood up pretty well, but we missed a target.
Yeah.
Now Charlie was off and everything.
And Hudson O'Keefe got
Hudson
injured as well.
O'Keefe, yeah, but Hudson O'Keefe didn't have his best game.
No.
You know, don't be too harsh on the young fella. It's only his second game of AFL football, but it looked a bit out of place. And look, Harry Lemmy will find a big step up too from AFL to VFL. But the guy, I think he's kicked 16 goals in the last 4 weeks in the VFL. The guy's on a tear. Get him in.
Apparently against some weaker sides, though.
Probably.
I still reckon he's been kicking 2 or 3 in the other
You've still
matches.
got to kick straight, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, and look, if North Melbourne don't have great defence, right? So if you're going to bring a young lad in, wouldn't you bring them in against North Melbourne?
Yeah. I think defence is their biggest concern.
Yeah.
Which might just help us over the line.
So I reckon bring Harry in.
Yeah.
Give him a crack, and I think this is the right time. I think they've been playing. It's probably with Hudson O'Keefe going out. You need to bring another tall in anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. Even if Charlie Curnow is playing.
Well, there's a few other options. You could bring in Pitter and then play TDK forward.
Yeah, the thing about Pitnet is he's a ruckman and only a ruckman, really. And whereas I think we could do with another target in the forward line. So, that would be my view anyway. I think he gives you something different. And it's the right time.
And it's going to be at the MCG, so will that change? Will it give us a benefit over North Melbourne, maybe? Because you usually play at Marvel.
Yeah, I think you get that little bit of extra space at the MCG, and
I think we like that.
Well, that's if we're running games well. I think if it should help us if we play another big first quarter like we've done the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think we'll want to start strong like we've done before, and to put some space between us, but then kick on with it. You know, a consistent 4 quarters. I think the thing that frustrates the fans is we know we've got a decent list. We know we've got the talent there. even though we've got a few injuries at the moment. But we've just got to put it all together.
And I think
There's still plenty of talent out there.
The players feel that too, apparently, according to reports. And then
Just hasn't quite clicked.
No. TDK, there's a bit of news coming out about how he had a meeting with Graham Wright, the incoming CEO, about possible changes or something like that. That's not quite confirmed by the club, but he sort of made it known that he wants to stay at Carlton, but the salary is too different, you know.
Yeah, two things.
700K.
Two things that are factors that have
Yeah.
affected him not putting pen to paper yet. One, you know, Carlton's offer's not even close to St Kilda's, and two, you know, he just wants some reassurances that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And that we're finals bound, and you know we're ready to make that next step. If I was him, I'd be asking him the same questions. You know, I don't think we've quite got it together at the moment. So I think that's we were hopeful that we'd see a reflection after the bye. You know.
Yeah.
But we've come out and played two mediocre games. Really,
Yeah.
We've not really seen a strong improvement against Essendon and West Coast. We've got the wins. That's better than losing.
First quarter's been better than any other first quarter.
Yep. So I mean that's the positive, but
Yeah.
we haven't really improved.
No. Well, then have St Kilda improved? Or are they on the improve? I don't think so.
No.
So
I reckon if
weigh that up, TD.
I reckon if that would be St Kilda's the main suitor, and St Kilda's worse than us. Not just marginally. Their percentage is 87 and ours is 106.
Yeah.
Now, we've had a kind draw at 2 West Coast games and a North Melbourne game, etc., but we are in a better shape than them. We've had one win and a ton of percentage better than them. So, in fact, I think they're going nowhere. I think they're going backwards at the moment. So,
Not sure. They're not sure if Nazaya Waikanen-Miller will stay.
Yeah, so they're facing losing players.
Yeah.
You know. So, I think they're hardly a destination club, but, you know, they're putting a fair bit of money on the table.
Yep.
I guess. So, I look at North Melbourne would be an interesting one. They've got a good young midfield. Their forward line's okay. I mean, our back line should be able to handle them, though. I think probably the part is, you know, does our midfield stand up? I don't know if Cripps had a great game. He did a couple of good things. There was one time he was bursting out of the centre, etc. I think he only had about 14 touches or something, didn't he?
Cripps.
Yeah, no, I'm wrong. It's 21. I'm wrong. 21 touches. That's not embarrassing. But, you know, you'd rather him get closer to 30.
Yeah.
I didn't think that he had a consistent 4 quarters. So, while Hewitt and Chera are playing pretty well, there's a fair bit of drop-off there. I want to see Adam Sard in the top 5 metres gained for our team.
Where's he at today?
I think it's
42 metres gained.
Yeah. No, he's 342. So he's 2, 4, 6, 8. He's not in the top 10 on the ground in metres gained.
Or Fantasia, 520.
Right?
That's crazy.
So, that's what we mean. We want him in the top 5 metres gained.
Yeah. If Orazio nailed his 2 goals, he would have probably been.
Oh, Orazio was up and about. I think
But
just for me, it's Orazio's finishing. I liked his game other than that. 7 marks, 520 metres, 14 disposals. He was up and about.
Yeah.
He just got to finish the job, and it's particularly important. We had a few forwards that didn't finish the job, and there's a few that missed them. Zach Williams kicked 2 goals but missed a couple. Fantasia 0 goals 2. Motlop 0 goals 1. I'll give Motlop one thing. Motlop, he didn't have the game he had last week, right?
Yeah.
But he did bring energy. He was working hard, and I think he had 5 tackles. That's not bad for a forward. I think that effort was there. I think just didn't quite. It was one of those ones where it's sort of overrunning the footy and didn't quite click always. But it's what, especially early, our forwards were pretty good early.
Yeah,
I think. So there's it's just the shooting for goal, where we're
we were inaccurate. It's 12 goals, 14 or something like that.
yeah. I mean, you should be definitely getting much more goals at behinds. I think that's your yardstick.
Yeah, always.
So I think we should win, but I'm not certainly not predicting a big win at this stage, and I can't say that you got complete confidence.
No, neither. I think there was a game last year, right? I think we won by 19 points against North. I feel like I have that same sort of...
It has that same feel to it, doesn't it? Has that same feel to it.
Injury, coming off bad form. Don't take them lightly.
Yeah. So I just think that our defence should hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
Their defence is not the best, so if we take our opportunities, and if we were to get on top of the midfield, I reckon it could be a big margin.
Look, yeah, it all depends on the midfield. All depends on that.
Yeah.
And it's going to rest on really Cripper, Hewitt and Chera to really muscle it out against the young, sort of inexperienced North players.
And get Cripper in the goals in the centre square and get him around the clearances. No rucking.
No.
Not too long in the forward line. Okay?
I've been saying that all year. Okay, well, thank you. That was a very comprehensive review and preview. I think that was one of our best, actually. And we've kept it reasonably quick as well. So make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Really building on there. And catch you soon. Hopefully get another win. Up the Baggers.
Calm the Blues.